and take a moment of silence. Maybe notice your body, what it feels like, your breathing. And then see if you can bring into your mind and your heart as many people and other beings as possible, both now and in the future. What stories will be told about our generation? Hold that question in your heart for a moment. What stories will be told about our generation? And how can we act with faith and with compassion for all these people and all these other forms of life? And may everything we do today on this call and beyond this to be in service of all those other beings. So, thank you for coming. We hope that grounds us a little bit in what it is we're doing here today. All of our faith traditions teach us to care for each other and the earth. That's why people of diverse religions and faiths from around the globe are coming together for a global day of action on March the 11th. Sacred People, Sacred Earth will be led by grassroots leaders, people like you, of different faiths and ethnicities all over the world, who share the common goal of a bigger, bolder, and more decisive climate action from our governments and from faith institutions. And each of you, each of us, will be part of that. Why are we doing this? For a whole lot of reasons. For 100% renewable energy, for an end to fossil fuel infrastructure, for global finance that's aligned with compassionate values, for justice for all living beings. This day is an activation of our shared moral power, putting unjust government powers and companies on notice that we're no longer going to stand by while our planet and people's lives are destroyed. So, I've got some notes here I'm working to. It asks me to do this on a scale of 1 to 5. I'd rather do it visually. If you could say on a scale of 1 to, from the bottom, not feeling that great about this, right up to here, feeling fantastic. How are you feeling about getting motivated, getting involved in the Day of Action on the 11th of March? I'm somewhere above the screen, heading upwards. I hope it's good to see hands mostly up. That's really good. How are we going to do this? Well, we're going to be guided by our 10 demands as we determine the most urgent needs and what kind of actions will be most effective in each of our specific communities. We're going to review now our 10 demands on the slide deck with you all. And as we read out, Sarah and I want you to pay attention to which ones grab your attention and interest or feel the most relevant to you and your community. Which of these issues is affecting the area where you live? So maybe you'd like to start, Sarah.
Okay, I can start. So number 1 is 100% renewable energy for all. Should I keep going?
Well, sure. How we just do one at a time.
Okay.
2 is global finance aligned with compassionate values. It's increased financing in COVID recovery and beyond for renewable energy and sustainable food systems.
Great. Number 3 is jobs and healthcare for all. So a just transition for workers, for migrants, and for communities impacted by climate change and the energy transition through healthcare, job training and placement, and other necessary support.
For respect for Indigenous rights, a strong defence for the legal rights of Indigenous communities and environmental protectors.
Number 5, welcome for migrants, generous hospitality and opportunities for climate and environmental refugees to migrate and establish new homes.
6, no more climate pollution. Net zero greenhouse gas emissions in wealthy countries by the year 2030, and accelerated finance and technology transfers for global net zero by 2050.
Number 7, end the planet's desecration. No new fossil fuel exploration or infrastructure. No more industrial agriculture or deforestation. No more habitat or biodiversity loss.
Number 8, eliminating immoral finance. No further financing of COVID bailouts for all fossil fuels or industrial agriculture or deforestation.
Number 9, climate reparations or just contribution from wealthy countries. So leadership by wealthy countries in climate financing and technology transfer in recognition of these countries' colonialist and environmental debt.
And finally, number 10, bold faith community leadership, sustained united action, guided by the teachings of our diverse religions, ushering in an equitable, peaceful life for all. Which of these demands speaks most to you and where you live? Maybe you'd like to share some of that in the chat.
So which of these demands speak most to you and where you live? For me, the end to the planet's desecration and stopping fossil fuel projects is a major one for me. We're fighting a coal plant, a coal port proposal here in Oakland, California. So that's one of the ones that really matters to me. I see here Indigenous rights, planetary desecration, and zero emissions, and all 10 demands. Yeah, I'm with you. Yes. Difficult to choose. Number 1, 100% renewable energy for all. That's great. Thank you. Please continue to share which ones really resonate with you and what are relevant for you and your local work. So great. People have shared what resonates with them in these demands. So now let's think, are there any related campaigns that are already running in your local area that are related to these demands? So I mentioned in Oakland, we're fighting a new coal export facility that's been proposed for the Oakland port. Are there campaigns that are running in your own local communities that are already working towards some of these demands? Please put those in the chat too. Adani, the Australian monster that I know you all are fighting hard in Australia. Yes, stop Adani. Yes. Gas import terminal. So many. 100% renewable energy for all. And I'm gonna mispronounce this.
Toowoomba.
Toowoomba.
I wasn't going to put you through the humiliation of getting it wrong, Sarah.
Thank you. So yes, stopping pipelines, coal exploration on the Kenyan coast.
Mm.
Were you going to say something, Tejapala?
No, I was just noticing that coal exploration on the Kenyan coast, so much that we've got in common. You could talk about the Australian coast so easily.
Yes, and the west coast of the United States as well, and east coast. Truth and reconciliation with our Indigenous peoples. Yes, so many things we're fighting across the world. So all of these campaigns. So based on all of these campaigns, we are all well on our way to organizing an action that can be relevant for our local communities and our local campaigns. Maybe our actions even contribute to these local ongoing campaigns that are already running. So now we're going to hear from some grassroots organizers about the work that they're doing in their communities and what their plans are for March 11th. And so Tejapala, I'm going to actually ask you to call on our folks.
Sure. So I keep an eye on the background on how many faith communities have signed up for March the 11th, and in Australia, so far it's over 70. So we're very, very excited about that. And I would like to call on 3 people who are organizing at the moment. Linda, would you like to tell us about what you're doing in Brunswick in Melbourne? You're on mute, I think, Linda.
Okay, hello everybody. At Brunswick Uniting Church, which is on Sydney Road, north of the Melbourne CBD, our minister Ian Ferguson will be ringing the bell for at least 10 minutes at midday. We may also have a bagpipe played by a student after high school in the late afternoon.
Fantastic, thank you. And it's I'll be working with Linda personally, because where I go, the Melbourne Buddhist Centre is like 300 meters from Brunswick Uniting Church, and we're just going to go around the neighbourhood and get places of worship. Second person I'd like to call on is Jerry. Jerry Fay, are you here? Yep, there you are. Yeah, able to unmute yourself there, Jerry?
Yep, thank you. We're a little bit broader. So Quakers in Victoria, Australia, so it's a regional meeting. So we're thinly spread across the state, but we want to have a focus. And given that we don't ring bells and that we're a bit quiet, so our intention at this stage is to work, and hopefully work with a few other people as well, but to have a silent period of worship, and it might be a ring around his office or just in the front of his office, but looking at Josh Frydenberg, who is the Federal Treasurer, and his office here is in Victoria. So the intention is to have a silent meditation, worship, whatever someone wants to call it, there with his outside his office during the day. So we haven't actually got the time yet, but it should align with the time when other people are ringing bells. So we're just working on social distancing, how we can do that and how many people we can get there.
I'm really excited by that. I'd love to make sure that we have some of our more prominent federal politicians hearing from us very directly like that. The other one I'm really hoping, obviously, that we'll hear from us is Prime Minister Scott Morrison. And the third person I'd like to call on is Father Neil Foggy in Cairns. Neil, would you be able to tell us what you're doing up there?
Can you hear me now? Good.
All good. Thanks, Neil.
Good. In Cairns, I just wanted to let you know that we have a population of 154,000. So it's not many people, but that enables us to see the community as quite a small and tight community. We've got meetings next week with a number of people or groups, which I think may be able to help on the day in March. First of all, we have about 16 ARC members in Cairns with a number of floaters. And so we will be talking to that group about their ideas and what they would like to do. We have a church, St Margaret's Anglican Church, and they have a regular Taizé service. And we're wondering whether at 12 o'clock we might invite the local community to a prayer and reflection service, and maybe the singing of a few Taizé chants. We are going to talk to Centre Care, the Catholic social organisation. They have a multicultural section and also a environmental justice group. And we're hoping that they may be able to do something with their group in that. We are planning to write paragraphs for ministry units and churches the Sunday before March, and ask them to print this in their parish bulletins or pew sheets, so that people, individuals or the church may decide that they could do something in groups or individually would be really great. The schools, well, we're waiting till they go back next week to find out who the relevant person may be. 3 major schools in Cairns. There's the Trinity Anglican School, there's the Peace Lutheran School, and all of the Catholic schools. But also I'm trying to get to know some people in state schools around Cairns that might be willing to talk to their Year 12, what they call social groups, where they meet every morning. Now, what else have I got down here? The local environmental groups. There's 3 major ones in Cairns, and they give us great support. So we're going to ask them if they would like to do something at 12 o'clock on that day. They have supported ARC before, and for something like this, a global event, I think they could well do it. The local ABC station, at 6:30, from 6:30 to 7 o'clock each morning, there is a local aspect. So we'll try and get an interview on that, warning people that at 12 o'clock on that day, something may happen somewhere. And if we have planned events, then that can be advertised on that morning. We would also contact our local politicians, 1 federal and 2 state politicians. We delivered a Christmas card to each of them just before Christmas and were well received. And I think it would be good to let them know what's going on and to see if any of them would join in some of our adventures on that day. We will email several weeks before all of our local parishes, sending them the statement in full and asking if they would, in their parish or in their small parish groups, like to sign that. But one question I have is, when the statement is signed, what happens to it? Where does it go?
Well, sorry, before I answer that question, Neil, I just want to congratulate you on everything that you're doing to organise. See, that's a fantastic list. You're not just saying I'm doing something in my faith community. You're out there organising across the whole city. And not only that, but it's probably worth, for those of you who are not from Australia, probably worth pointing out that Cairns is right on the Great Barrier Reef. So when we're talking about getting local environmental groups on board, we're talking about groups that constantly highlight the plight of the Great Barrier Reef, which is so threatened by the climate crisis. So there's a big opportunity in Cairns to get some global attention. and one of the federal member of parliament you mentioned there, Neil, happens to be the current special envoy for the reef. So he should definitely hear from you. I'm really excited about that. The main thing that's happening, to answer your question, is these things will be published on March the 11th with the highest profile signatories at the top and a very, very large number, we hope, of signatories under that. And the idea is that we can say that we've got so many thousand, and here are the faith leaders, and here are the very, very senior faith leaders who are involved. Here are the huge numbers of regular people of faith who are behind this. There will, of course, be a presentation later in the year at the climate negotiations in Glasgow. So I hope that answers that enough. I'm sorry, if I can talk to you a bit more about that another time, Neil, if I can see you slightly busting to ask a follow-up question.
Yep.
So anyway, I'm just really excited and grateful to everyone who's getting involved. Many of you, sorry, I'm just getting lost here on my notes.
Let me come in real quick, Tejapala, and just say, yeah, thank you so much for everyone that just shared what you all are doing. Clearly, Australia is sounding the alarm and on all of these demands, and really doing some great organizing. And this is a heavily Australia call, but we also have representation from many other parts of the world who are here with us tonight. And I want to share a few stories from other places around the world that are doing actions as well. So in Tampa Bay, Florida, they are planning to do a socially distanced action to push for their city to pass renewable energy resolution for 100% renewable energy. So they'll be doing a sort of rally outside of their town hall with religious leaders. In Zimbabwe, in a few different places across the country, they are planning to do a socially distanced action to protest mining impacts in local communities. And in New York, in the whole state of New York, we're working with partners to have rallies at different polluting industry sites across the state and pushing the governor of New York to sign a statewide climate bill that we've been pushing him to sign. So lots of different kinds of events happening everywhere. And then some people who are not able to join a group event because of COVID will hold signs on a public street with their families in order to be COVID safe and away from other people. Others will share video recordings of themselves delivering letters or writing letters or sounding the alarm on climate change. Some are targeting embassies. So we will have a wide array of different kinds of actions that are locally relevant and able to be any sort of level of COVID safe. So you can be a part of this. If you can't leave your house, you can still be a part of this. And if you are able to leave your house and join an event safely, we also encourage you to do that.
Thanks. I was particularly inspired when you mentioned the Tampa Bay, Florida one there. A few years ago, I don't know if it's still the case, the Florida state government even banned the use by its own bureaucrats of climate change in official documentation. So that's a big deal in a place like Florida, which is literally in places going underwater. Many of you have already thought about campaigns that are in your region where you are and affect your community. And you've heard what other people are doing in their areas. And just want to ask, what do you want to do for your action? This could be a larger event that you want to organize, or it could be an individual event that you take with just yourself and your family. I want to make sure that, this isn't just open to places of worship. This can be individuals or households of faith, or as we heard from Neil earlier, schools. So if you could type your answers in the chat, if you could just let us know. So what would you like your action to be, please? I've already noticed that Thea, our president, has written there's going to be a number of events outside of key member of parliament's offices. Anyone else like to drop into the chat just a quick idea about what they're going to do? Barbara Daniel, Sister Barbara Daniel, I would like to gather with others to pray. Thanks, Barbara.
Other ideas that folks have about actions they want to organize in their community, big or small? Concrete support for the proposed Planetary Health Institute through issuing a statement of intent.
Protesting Shenhua's proposed calming, I'm not sure what that is, on the Liverpool Plains in New South Wales. And we've got, we'll be engaging Buddhist organisations through the Buddhist Council, I believe that's the Buddhist Council of New South Wales, and encouraging and supporting them to do their own action. And thanks for the clarification. Shenhua is a coal mine. That must have been a typo.
Great.
Oh, and Robert writes, we don't have a bell, but we may be able to stand outside our church on busy Hoddle Street with a sign. Hoddle Street is indeed a sign with a large amount of street traffic going by.
That's great. And like Thea said, quiet, prayerful events can go on social media with pictures just as well as bells and shofars and conches and drums. So COVID is really bad where I live right now. So I will likely do something just with my family on the street corner, sounding the alarm with a sign and take a photograph because we can't be with other people right now. Great. And Graham says they're going to discuss with the initiative with the local faith and interfaith community. So great. We actually have some time to discuss this a little bit more. So we are going to go into breakout groups in a moment, but to get your brain thinking about what you might do for your action, you already thought about what's the demand or issue you want your event or action to address. All of you typed in different things that you cared about, different things that are happening in your areas. And then some of you also decided based on those things what your action would be. So someone said there's a coal mine in their area and they're going to do an action at that. So we want you to think about what is the demand or issue you want your event or action to address, and what will your action be? And it could be as simple as just making noise, sounding the alarm, playing drums, blowing the shofar. So once you know what you're doing, the next step is going to be to get the word out. And you can share your plan with your local faith communities, you can alert the media, and you can share via social media to recruit as many people as possible. So I want you to take a minute to just imagine 10 people that you would love to see joining this action of Sacred People, Sacred Earth. Can you take a moment to write their names down on a list? Write them down for yourselves, either on your computer or on a piece of paper. And after this call is done, invite them to join us for Sacred People, Sacred Earth. And of course, keep in mind that we're all still dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. So be sure to implement social distancing and COVID safe practices into whatever you decide to do for the day of action. So I think we might have to save some questions to the end and move into our breakout sessions. So I'll pass it to you to facilitate that, Tejapala.
Thanks. We're now going to move to breakout rooms so you can share your ideas with each other and get feedback from each other on your ideas. So here are a few questions to guide you. Where are you located? What is your religion? Which of the demands means the most to you and why? I know we had some people say all 10, fair enough. Is there a local priority or campaign that you want to link your action to? And what will you do? Ring bells, sound gongs, blow the conch, blow the shofar, meditate outside a member of Parliament's office, with signs, whatever it might be. So you have about 10 minutes total to be in this conversation together.
So you'll have a pop-up on your screen that says join. It actually might be in German, but it's inviting you to join a breakout room. So press the button that says join. Does anybody want to share a couple of ideas that people had? Maybe one or two people to describe what are your plans for your actions? I might actually call, Barbara, would you be willing to share your idea that you had in our group to start us off?
Well, my idea, it just came to me because I had been thinking about what I could do myself. But I've written down a whole list of people. So I'm going to get in touch with them. I'm going to book a meeting room we have and invite people to come to a prayer session at 12 o'clock on the 11th of March and take a picture of it and then suggest that we send it to the MPs in the electorate that we're in, and also send one to Scott Morrison. So I'm really pleased because I've been thinking, oh, there's nothing I can do. So thank you very much for the ideas.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Does anybody else want to share an idea that they've had on this call or something that that they're thinking about doing?
I noticed Sue had her hand up in the.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So we were talking about a number of things, but one was for me, I'm a Buddhist too, and I'm in Sydney. So thinking of going and holding a meditation vigil out of Scott Morrison, our Prime Minister's office. So yeah, but I expect there's something that ARC will be organising about that. So maybe I'll just bring some fellow meditators along and join Thea, whatever she's doing there. But still. Oh, and just one other thing that came up in our discussion was finding that the word demands is a very strong word. And we wondered about the phrase something like, the earth needs us to do the following rather than demand. But that was just a throw in to that conversation.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I think you just put your hand up to organize something, didn't you? I think that if you're, I'm going to contact you, Sue, about being involved. You were quite right. We are thinking of something along those lines. But if we've got people with reach into different communities, like the Buddhist community in Sydney, then we'd love to hear from you.
I cannot wait to see photographs from that action.
Awesome. Now, are you ready to add your event online? We're going to do that together now. There's the easiest way to do that is to go to the ARC webpage. It should be getting the link to that in the chat shortly. It's a super simple way to sign up. There we are. Thank you. That's now, thanks Thea, that's in the chat. Now, a number of you will have already signed up for the for this. There we go. There's a picture of the ARC website there. A number of you would have already signed up. If you scroll to the bottom of the page that you've just got in the chat, there's a form where you can sign up. No worries if you've already signed up. We're not asking you to do it a second time. But if you have not, then please do. And when you do that, you'll automatically receive an email with a link to our information guide for organizing for the day. So you will.
And even if you're not in Australia, you can still sign up on this form here. This is the same form that we're using for all of the actions, and it's just the it's embedded on the ARC website, but we're using it all over the world. So please sign up here, even if you're not in Australia. We want your action to go up on the map, and we'll be seeing all of those actions show up on a big global map of actions over the next few days. It'll take us a few days to get all of those actions up, but we're going to give you a moment to sign your event up right now. If you haven't yet, take a moment to do it. No matter how big or small, we want to know about your event so we can track how many people are participating across the world, how many events there are. And we already know that we're going to have hundreds of events across the world, but we want to show them all visually on a big global map so we can see our united movement all showing up together. So even if it's just going to be you and your family, you can sign your event up.
And do you have an idea, Sarah, roughly how many we've got signed up so far? I put you on the spot right now, but.
Well, I have to say that Australia is really leading the pack here, but I think we have about 400 events across the world right now, and I think there's about how many in Australia, Tejapala?
70-ish.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So once you sign up your event, it will show up on a big global map that will be hosted on the Green Faith website and possibly also embedded on the ARC website. And if any of you are part of organizations that want to also embed the map on your website, we can set that up for you so that people can add actions no matter where they are.
Yeah, that's a really important point that Sarah just made. The form that people can sign up can be put on any website. So if you're interested, if your organization would like to say, hey, sign up to do this, and put it on your website, then I will put my email address straight into the chat for anyone in Australia. And in fact, for anyone else in the world, and I will send you the HTML code and you can talk to your web folks and you can put it on your website.
And we can also give you the HTML code for the map that will then illustrate all of the actions on the back end. So Robert, to answer your question, you should wait to sign up your event until it's confirmed, because we will put it on the map. Though there is an option to make your event not public if it's one that not other people are invited to join, we can set it as a non-public event. So it's just invite only whoever you invite to come. Yeah, but wait till you're confirmed on your details to sign it up.
By the way, the reason I wasn't completely confident about exactly how many we have here in Australia, we've got 83, but I know that some of those are people who've been so enthusiastic they've signed up twice. For one church, they've signed up 3 times. So I think the number's a little bit imprecise.
Great. All right, you all. Well, thank you so much. By this time next week, we are going to have a map with dozens, if not hundreds, of actions across the world that will be visual to all of us, and we'll be able to get good ideas that are happening all across the world. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Tejapala to close us out, I believe.
Great, thank you. What an amazing privilege and gift it is to be in a world with people like you who are doing this, envisaging and creating a world that is compassionate and loving, and where justice is not just an idea, it's a reality. We're in this together, and so we're going to close this meeting with a moment of prayer. I believe, Sarah, you're going to be leading that.
Great. So again, thank you all. It was a pleasure to be with you all today. So let's take this moment to appreciate this community and the journey we are about to embark on together. Our solidarity crosses many countries and oceans, many faith traditions. Our solidarity is sacred and enriching. In just a moment, we are going to ask you to come off mute so we can all say goodbye to each other in whatever manner we usually say goodbye in our diverse languages or traditions. Friends, peace, pas, shalom, shanti, salam, namaste, ashe. Please unmute yourself and say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 And all the
Thank
best. Thank you. Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Typing it.
So great to be with you
Bye.
all.
All that.
That's okay.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
And leave.
Peace and blessings, everyone.
Thanks, Sarah. Good luck.
Thank you. You too, Barbara.